What is up, guys? It's been a pretty interesting packed week or so in terms of gaming, and I guess I should start talking about the VGX or the VGAs that was, about a week or so ago. And I was kind of surprised to see people reacting the way they were in terms of how bad it was, as if the VGAs were ever really good to begin with. I mean, one thing that was kind of noticeably worse was the host this time, Joel McHale, who I'm not really familiar with his work. I guess he's a comedian. He does stuff on TV or whatever. It was pretty obvious the guy didn't want to be there, and his knowledge of gaming in general was pretty limited. But to be completely honest, that's something that the VJs is very familiar with, because I mean, most of the time with the VJs, they get some hosts, Neil Patrick or maybe Samuel Jackson. They just get kind of random people who maybe loosely acquainted with gaming but aren't exactly very, inept in it or experts in the field per se. BC quality, celebrities or whatever, presenting awards, talking about something they barely understand outside of that. They might have played a game or two, or maybe they played Mario Pac-Man or whatever. And it's pretty disappointing to see, an event that's supposed to be a celebration of gaming being, I don't know, managed or controlled by people that literally almost know next to nothing about gaming in general. And I mean, it's not like there's a shortage of people qualified, in terms of the gaming field. I mean, for example, say what you want about Jeff Keighley. He's clearly very passionate and knowledgeable about the gaming industry. And there are plenty of other people like that, like Adam Sessler and Jeff Gershman. There really isn't a shortage of knowledgeable experts in the gaming industry that are smart and have the personality, talk about games or whatever, and do something of this sort. But instead we choose to present prettier faces, I guess, perhaps in the sake of appealing to more people, as if anyone watches the VGAs or VGX that aren't exactly gamers. But I mean, if this is our answer to the Oscars, the Emmys, or the Grammys, or whatever, it's a pretty poorly constructed and amateur-looking one to begin with. I mean, the fact that people there don't really take it seriously. I mean, it's kind of a joke in and of itself. I mean, I'm not sure if it's the fact that video games still, as a medium, aren't really taken as seriously as film, TV, and music. But I mean, it's just kind of disappointing to see it, because I mean, I strongly believe, and there are others who believe this, that the gaming, and video games, whatever, is a medium that is a form of art that has evolved and transcended in a more mature way, and it has happened very quickly. But I mean, it's still treated as though, in the 80s there's a child's toys thing. I think a lot of people still share that mentality. I'm not sure if that's what's holding it back, or maybe there truly isn't that many people who could pull off, video game awards or the Oscars of video games very well. I mean, obviously Spike's tried, and it's not exactly the best thing. I mean, there used to be a giant, crowd of people, and there, like I said, there was more, glam to it now. But now it's been broken down to, like, a little studio with a couple TVs and couches or whatever. And I guess it was more gaming centric, because they had more interviews and stuff with the actual game developers, which obviously, game developer time is always a good thing. But that's another thing. I mean, one thing, if the VJs itself, the spectacle of it is kind of lackluster to begin with, at the very least, people, got pretty excited or tuned in to watch for the exclusives of the premieres. And I mean, Jeff Keighley, prior to the VGX or whatever, kind of hyped up how many exclusives were going to be there. But I mean, the amount were there certainly wasn't, the answer to the quality that was there. I mean, we had things like the next gen, like, version of Tomb Raider, which we already played, was announced there, the PC version basically. We had things that we had already seen and heard about, like Titanfall, more gameplay of that, which looks cool, but we already know and have seen Titanfall stuff, and we barely saw much more at the VGX anyway. We saw the Stick of Truth. Telltale apparently announced 2 more, point-and-click games with Game of Thrones and Borderlands spin-off thing. And the one thing, I guess, that was new that kind of caught people by surprise was No Man's Sky, which does look pretty interesting. But overall, the premieres and the exclusives of the VGAs, which is the only thing I ever really tuned in to watch, wasn't even that great to begin with. So overall, it just seemed like a pointless show to me, because I mean, they've always kind of sucked, and no one really cares who wins, like, the little award thing, the VGX, or a monkey statue. I mean, it's not exactly the most prestigious thing you can win, like, in terms of gaming. I mean, if it is, that's pretty sad. I mean, I think there's another interactive, like, award place for video games that actually is a little bit more prestigious, a little bit more professional looking, but I don't think it's broadcasted on TV. And this time it was just on stream. So I mean, even like the amount of people that are capable of watching might have potentially been downgraded by the fact that it wasn't on TV. You had to live stream it. But I mean, if you're a gamer, live streaming and watching that sort of thing probably isn't anything particularly new to you. But overall, it seemed like a slight step back. But I mean, it's not like it's made any real steps forward or strides in terms of making the VGAs as a spectacle of a video game award that much more realistic or impressive. But I mean, that isn't exactly the only thing that's been happening in the gaming as of late. I mean, as many of you most likely heard recently, YouTube's been going through some interesting changes in terms of uploading gameplay and video content on YouTube, in terms of like ID copyrights and claiming just about anything that has video game gameplay in it. And it's been affecting quite a few people. People who do make their livelihood off of YouTube are severely getting impacted and might have to reevaluate the way they live. I mean, me personally, I don't really monetize any of my videos, so this doesn't really affect me, but I know it does affect quite a few people, quite a few big names like Angry Joe, Rad Brad, etc. And I mean, I do feel kind of sorry for them, because I mean, it must suck to, I mean, I'd say YouTube is much of hard work per se. I mean, for my video content, like, I barely put any effort into my videos, just gameplay and some commentary. But some people genuinely do put a lot of production values into what to put out there, and the fact that they're basically not getting money and they're getting claimed by other companies kind of probably sucks. And a lot of these corporations, they have plenty of money, and it's not like these videos are really like hurting them. Like the way they act, they're like comparing it to like films where people who upload entire movies or TV shows on YouTube. I mean, yeah, that kind of spoils the experience because you basically watched like the movie or the TV show for free on YouTube. But video games, I mean, it doesn't really spoil the game uploading gameplay or whatever. I mean, I guess if it's a really heavy story-based game like a point-and-click game, yeah, I mean, that kind of kills it. I mean, why would you go play the game if it barely has any gameplay and you just watch the whole story unfold anyway? But the whole thing with video games is it's an interactive medium, and just watching it isn't really the full or realistic experience of the game. And I'm not really sure how game developers feel about YouTube videos of their gameplay being up. And it's pretty funny because a lot of these developers that are kind of like pro, I guess, are pretty huge developers. And I mean, if they really don't want their game being showcased or whatever, I mean, people will adapt. I mean, for example, I mean, Minecraft was a pretty small thing. I remember when Minecraft was an unknown quantity. I actually remember like beta testing it way back, and YouTube essentially made Minecraft. I mean, Minecraft is huge nowadays, and it's all thanks to YouTube. And I can guarantee you, if developers like of big names really don't want the next Call of Duty, the next GTA gameplay footage on YouTube, I guarantee you YouTubers will adapt and they will start uploading different games, smaller games, because those developers actually don't mind you uploading the gameplay because they understand that it's basically free advertisement. And I mean, I guess it doesn't really affect the big games all that much like Call of Duty and GTA's, because no matter what advertising budget they'll have, which I'm sure it'll be huge, those are established IPs that will succeed regardless of the free advertisement. But I feel like free advertisement is free advertising. Someone is actually doing something for you essentially, and it's not costing you a dime. It's not like I would love to see these big companies prove that video gameplay on YouTube is like costing them sales of their huge games. I mean, if anything, it can be clearly established that YouTube gameplay makes more sales. Proof of this is like Minecraft and any other small indie games like Braid, etc. I mean, it just seems kind of ridiculous and backwards that they're actually being so against having their game showcased on YouTube, or just showcased in general. I mean, people pay to show things off. Indie developers love this, yet the big publishers suddenly don't. I mean, I'm not really sure what the whole backward logic is with the whole YouTube thing right now. Maybe it's a glitch in an algorithm or whatever. But honestly, I've been feeling like YouTube just going to shit ever since with the whole Google buying it, and like Google Plus like intruding and invading our comment section and making it much more hideous and deformed. Because there was nothing wrong with comments before, and ever since Google Plus has been intruding on that, I just find it kind of annoying and taxing. Because I mean, honestly, I'd love to hear anyone who actually wants to use Google Plus. Sorry, Google, but Google Plus just isn't that great or intuitive. But that's about it for this video. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the VGX and the whole YouTube ID claim in general. As usual, leave your thoughts and comments below, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.